I became aware of the importance of African agriculture in 1998, actually. My first time actually going to meet with cocoa farmers in Cameroon. I went to the southwest region, and these cocoa farmers in places like Monge, in places like on the road to Dikomebalwe, were extremely enthusiastic about their work, very, very proud of their product. But I found farmers who would have to sometimes carry 20 kilogram bags, 40 kilogram bags of cocoa for 10, 12 kilometers to get to the nearest road where a vehicle could come and pick up the cocoa. And this is in Cameroon, the 5th largest producer of cocoa in the world. This profession, which employs over 500 million Africans on our continent, and which is contributing 25% to 50% of GDP in most of our countries, is still a big, big challenge for us. We have the challenge of production, that is mechanization. We are still producing like people produced 100 years ago on our continent. The farmer is still only confined to 1 hectare, less than 1 hectare of land, because of the lack of mechanization and the very nature, how labor intensive it is to work land in Africa. Secondly is marketing. Many farmers are not convinced by better production techniques, because I produce more, so what? How will I get it to market? How do I? There are very often the challenge of roads, farm to market roads. You have very often the challenge of communication, to be able to be in touch with the next town, even today where we have all our smartphones and we have all of this technology. But marketing is key for farmers, and knowing what to produce for what market. Once I produce it, can I get it to that market? The third aspect is, of course, adding value. Till today, for many agricultural products in Africa, we are selling the raw product. We do not conserve, so there's a lot of waste at harvest time. We still experience very, very high percentages of waste, and we do not transform, so we don't add value that can remain in that economy. So we are still, exporting that brute cocoa. We are still exporting that brute coffee. Many even of our fruits and vegetables we are exporting as they come from the farm. So this challenge of conservation and transformation remains for our continent. And then finally is the challenge of managing knowledge. How do we collect what the farmers know? Farmers know a lot. Farmers on our continent are very, very well informed. They've been adapting over the years to climate change, to changes in the soil, to even technology. How do we harness this knowledge? How do we bring this knowledge together with what has been developed by researchers, by agricultural technicians, so that we can actually have agricultural knowledge on the continent, which is valuable to us as a continent, and of course to our farmers for their livelihoods. And these 4 aspects are covered in the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program, known as Kah So I can start off by telling you what we don't do. We are not agronomists, we are not agricultural technicians, we are not researchers. What we do is work on the organizations and the processes. So I'll give examples at 3 levels. Farmer organizations, small organizations at grassroots level, farmer unions, farmer federations up to national level, even regional or continental level. We work with them on organization. How do they structure themselves? What kind of management system do they put into place? We help them train their leaders. Leadership training is very, very important in farmer groups and in farmer organizations. The second level that we can look at where strategies has worked is a level that I am very passionate about, and this is local economic development. This is with local governments, municipalities, in areas that have agriculture as a high potential area for economic growth. So we have worked with 5 local governments to define local economic development strategies that are based on agricultural value chains. We've worked on value chains with regard to corn. We've worked on value chains with regard to potatoes. We've worked on value chains with regard to a vegetable, a leafy vegetable that is called huckleberry, or if you are Cameroonian, jama jama. So we've worked on these value chains in terms of how do we ensure better marketing? How throughout the chain can a local government help farmers to organize themselves, to structure themselves so they can increase their access to market? Finally, of course, I will talk about our work that we have done with NAPAD over the years. NAPAD, or NPCA as they are known today, is the organization that has driven CAADP, that has been at the forefront of the leadership of CAADP. And we have worked with them in terms of their own strategy, their own team building, looking at their own organizational strength. I think one of the most interesting things that we carried out recently, about 2 years ago, was an evaluation of the implementation of CAADP. And that gave us the opportunity to look at a number of countries. And we had extraordinary success stories from Rwanda, from Ethiopia, definitely case studies to be looked at in many, many different countries, but still at the same time, also a general realization that this remains a challenge for the majority of African countries. So there are, of course, many, many challenges with regard to Africa and African agriculture, and we must take care of the basics. So as I've said, we still have an infrastructure problem, we still have a conservation problem, we still have a problem of transformation on the continent. However, I think that there have been a lot of success stories at micro and meso scale. And so I think one of the most important challenges that we must face in the days to come and the years to come is scale. How do we take, I was recently in Abidjan for the Farmer Business School approach, an approach which teaches farmers to have an entrepreneurial mindset and to see themselves as entrepreneurs, and to look at the aspects of marketing and of understanding their production mechanism and so on. This approach, which is developed by GIZ, German Development Corporation, with whom we have been working on almost all the projects that I've talked to you about, has proven itself. Close to 1 million farmers have been trained with this approach, with a 70% success rate. So how do we take that kind of an approach and bring it to scale? How do we take the local economic development approaches, which I talked to you about earlier, and bring them to scale, move from 5 municipalities in a country to 50 to 100? How do we bring those things to scale? And here we find that central governance once again is at the center, because this needs policy, it needs financing, it needs the political will to really make agriculture not something social where we are helping people, but to see its economic potential. The second challenge that we have is technology, without a doubt. The African tech community has been very, very avant-garde in providing solutions for African farmers. So today, in places like Kenya, we have apps that tell farmers weather conditions. We have apps that share knowledge about production techniques. The third element that I think is really important for African agriculture is women. Everybody talks about women, but it still does not sink in that when you say African farmer, you are talking about a woman. It is women who farm in Africa. They are the majority of the farmers. But where are they when we are deciding economic policy for a municipality? Where are they when we are deciding economic policy for a country? Where are they when we are discussing about Kah and its adaptations? Those women are still very absent from the places where decisions about economic policy, finance, marketing, and so on are being taken. And we have to break that. We are not going to succeed in African agriculture unless we succeed with African women farmers.